look no further than Rick's game of the week. Here we go. The Miami Dolphins, who are scored the most points in the first 6 games in NFL history, taking on the tough Bulldog defense of the Philadelphia Eagles. This game, to me, is going to be awesome. Now, we've seen Miami play a couple close, tough defenses. I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. Go for it. Tell me who you got. I'm excited.
This is my game of the week, and for obvious reasons. Both teams drafted a franchise quarterback in 20. Both made a huge play for a wide receiver in free agency in 2022. Both teams are coming into this week with tied for the best record in the NFL. They also have a top 10 first-round wide receiver in Jalen Waddle and and Devontae Smith. These teams are like the same team. But I got to go with the Dolphins, man. They are the best offense through 6 weeks of NFL football in NFL history. The greatest show on turf? No. The greatest show on surf and turf. Dolphins in Miami.
I like it.
They're fucking killing it right now. I'm taking the Dolphins in Philly. It's going to be a hostile environment. And look, the Dolphins lost against, who was it? The Bills, I believe. But this is going to be such a great game. This is almost maybe it's even better than that 49ers Cowboys game. Obviously the hype was great and, the game turned out to be shit, but I think the hype and the game in this one will be good for football. Sunday Night Football could not have picked a better matchup. This is my game of the week, and this is going to be a hell of a game. I'm taking Dolphins.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. And one of the things that I want to point out when looking at matchups here is that the Dolphins have been a totally different team when they're playing at home. They're just so much better, offensively. And not only are they not at home, but they have to go on the road. And the only time we've seen Miami play a defense like they're playing was against Buffalo. And when they played Buffalo, they lost, right? And they could not slow down Buffalo's offense. Look, you're not getting Jalen Hurts coming off of a tough win. You got Jalen Hurts coming off a tough loss, and you're at home. I think this is a very humble pie game for Miami, because it's one thing to be great at offense. It's another thing to be a great football team. The Miami Dolphins do not have a good defense right now. They're ranked in the bottom half of most categories. Their offense makes up for it. You wouldn't even know it because of how good their offense is. When there's something so great about a team, you tend not to look at the negatives. And that's kind of been the case for Miami all season because it's a historic offense, like you mentioned. But this is an opportunity for a magnifying glass to be put on the defense. And also can Tua make plays happen against a real tough defense on the road with the crowd banging. I got Philly in this game, bouncing back and winning.
And one of the big things that I feel like this kind of goes back to another game we talked about, the time of possession for the Dolphins. They're 22nd in the league, but they score so fast. They score so quick that they just put up so many points on the board. It's not their fault, because if you're putting up points in 3 minutes, and that's happening every time you're on the offense, your fucking time of possession is going to be bad, but you've put up 35, 40 points, like, that's good. And in my favorite matchups of this week, which we will get into later, it is about this game, so just a little spoiler for you guys.
Ooh, okay, excited about that. I think this is an opportunity, though, for Miami to prove to the world that they're for real. And if Tua goes out and has himself a 300-yard multiple touchdown game, all of a sudden Tua comes, from Mike McDaniel's a genius to Mike McDaniel's a genius and Tua is a top 10 quarterback in the league, right? And remember, he was snubbed last year from the Pro Bowl, I believe, when he got hurt a lot. But when we saw him for those first 4 weeks, dude, they beat Buffalo. Miami was good. And that's why this offseason I kept looking at it and going, I don't think people realize how good Miami is offensively. And I'm so glad I did, because now look, it sounds genius. But when you
Yeah.
look at it, it's like they had to go in with a backup quarterback so many times, and they still went into the playoffs and almost beat Buffalo. And not only that,
Yeah.
but they finished the season ranked third in yards. I mean, third
Yeah.
with that's because when they had Tua, they got so many yards that when the backups came in, they didn't totally drop them to the bottom. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, imagine what this team could do if Tua stays healthy. I like the chances of Tua staying healthy. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I'm just, I guess, a half full kind of guy, because I looked at it like, oh, if he went through that many injuries in 1 year, then there's definitely no chance he goes through another one. He went through his career length of injuries in one
Yeah.
season,
Yep.
and he learned how to fall and all of that stuff. So, like, I really think this is a great opportunity for Miami to kind of step up and never look back.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a really tough environment. It's going to be a fucking amazing game.
Yeah. I love it. I love this game. My game of the week, baby. Stand
Rick's
by for Sunday
game.
Night Football with us. All right. So I mentioned it earlier during our predictions, and it was the Dolphins-Eagles game. What I'm most excited to see about this, right? The Dolphins defense versus a struggling Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in the last 3 games. Those were against the Jets, the Rams, the Commanders. 0 against the Commanders, but 4 against the Jets and the Rams. Jets, good defense. Rams, not so good defense, right? So the Dolphins are 3rd in the league in sacks. And my favorite matchup right there is to see whether or not the pressure will get to Jalen Hurts to cause more interceptions in this game. The passing defense, the rushing defense, not great for the Dolphins. They're bottom of the league, and they have Vic Fangio there. He's probably going to get it right soon. But right now, the best thing that this defense on the Dolphins has going for them is the quarterback pressure and the sacks. 3 in the league, like I said. Jalen Hurts is struggling right now. His numbers are nowhere near what his numbers were last year. Lane Johnson was out last week as well. We don't know what his status is yet for this week. That is a good recipe for this Dolphins defense to get to Jalen Hurts to either cause interceptions, to cause 3 and outs, or to cause fumble sixes, or just strip sacks, anything, right? So that's my matchup of the week that I'm looking at for my game of the week. Dolphins defense versus Jalen Hurts. Sorry, Dolphins rushing attack defensive-wise versus Jalen Hurts.